A family member recently gave us a copy of McRoberts, Kentucky by Bill Fugate, Volume 2. It was published for a McRoberts reunion. We could not find the date of publication nor the copyright. The collection of short stories we will tell in this series came from this book and is told from Bill Fugate's memories. All aboard the Kentucky Tennessee Living Time Machine as it is preparing to depart back in time to reminisce with Bill Fugate as he wrote about his memories of being in McRoberts, Kentucky. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this help to fire up the time machine for our flight back in time, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger vehicle to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. Lonnie Alley and Moonshine. Lonnie Alley was a brakeman who lived in the clubhouse. He was a good worker, but would occasionally get on a 2 or 3 day drunk, which he called, quote, hanging one on, unquote. On one of these, after he had been in bed for 2 days, Ernest Combs and his brother Wade gathered up a dozen empty liquor bottles and placed them on Lonnie's dresser. When he awoke, he saw the empties and exclaimed, quote, Lordy mercy, do you think I've drunk that much booze? Unquote. Ernest replied, quote, That's the story, unquote. With that, Lonnie fell back into bed and was too drunk to get up for 24 hours. The following weekend, Blaine Polly, the Combs brothers, Doug Snyder, and I were having a quiet weekend at the clubhouse when Lonnie decided to go to Tom Biggs to get a quart of White Lightning to flavor our fruit punch. After some time, Lonnie returned empty-handed. When we asked why he had not brought the whiskey, he replied, quote, I can't get it past the policeman standing in front of the commissary, unquote. Slick Combs said, quote, Lonnie, a 10-year-old boy could get past those policemen with a quart of whiskey, unquote. Lonnie's reply was, quote, I wouldn't have a bit of trouble with a quart. I've got an 8-gallon keg and a quart, unquote. And so ends the tale of Lonnie Alley and Moonshine. Policeman versus Preacher. Pat Blevins was a policeman and very good at his job. M. Robert Reagan was a pastor of McRoberts Baptist Church and was good at his job. Pat had arrested a man in Tom Biggs and brought him to the shade of a big sycamore tree between the clubhouse and chopping branch to wait for the paddy wagon to take him to jail in Jenkins. The prisoner got tired of waiting and tried to escape by kicking Pat in the face and trying to get out of the car. Pat subdued him by using the usual police procedure. This was happening as the pastor and I were walking around the corner of the clubhouse. When the pastor saw what was going on, he rushed in and grabbed Pat's arm. Pat quietly and patiently said, quote, Preacher, don't interfere with me. I'm just doing my duty. Get out of my way and look after your own duty, unquote. The preacher was really excited and exclaimed, quote, The powers of all hell can't prevent me from doing my duty to my fellow man, and it is my duty to interfere when one of God's creatures is being mistreated, unquote. As calm as if he were teaching a Sunday school class, Pat replied, quote, I don't know much about the powers of all hell, but if you are not out of my way, and upon that porch when I get through counting to 10, there is going to be some slow walking and low singing that you won't want to see or hear, unquote. When we got onto the porch, the preacher asked, quote, Brother Hacker, what in God's world did that man mean, unquote. To put an end to our part of the incident, I replied, quote, Brother Reagan, I didn't hear all of what he said, but let me assure you that he meant every word of it, unquote. So ends the story of Policeman versus Preacher. Young boys at play. A favorite pastime of small boys was the game they called King Kong. This game was a combination of Follow the Leader, Tarzan of the Apes, Hide and Seek, and a few other games. The little fellows would spend much time and effort to see which one could climb a guy wire up to the crossbars on a telephone pole and then come down the pole. Another part of the game was to see who could jump from the highest rock or climb one tree and jump to another. This game lost its appeal to the boys when Billy Fugate tried to jump from the top of one rock to the top of another and landed on the railroad 25 feet below. Billy didn't have to stay in the hospital too long. So ends the story. Young boys at play. Teacher's salary. Until 1931, all McRoberts teachers were from out of town, and many were from out of state. Teachers did not have the advantage of collective bargaining, so each teacher's salary was set by 1-to-1 bargaining with the superintendent. After one of these very heated sessions with Mr. Snap, I had obtained a small raise in salary. As I left the room, Mr. Snap said, quote, "Hacker, I must ask you not to tell anyone what your salary is to be," unquote. Without a sign of hesitation, I informed him, quote, "Don't you worry one bit, Mr. Snap. I'm just much ashamed of it as you are," unquote. So ends the story of teacher salary. Working to be a teacher. Dr. Dow Collins once introduced me to make a speech to a civic club in Whitesburg in this manner. Quote, "If I were to say this young man is the best football coach ever to come to Letcher County, some of you would call me a liar. If I were to say that he was the best teacher ever to come to the county, some of you would say that I'm crazy. However, I can, without fear of contradiction, say that he is the only man I've ever known to work in the mines all summer in order to be able to teach school in the fall." Unquote. So ends the tale of working to be a teacher. Brave boy. Billy Day, a 7-year-old second grader at the lower building, had fallen against the fence and cut a 5-inch gash on the inside of his left elbow. Mrs. Julia Burgess, the principal at the lower building, could not locate his parents, so she called me from the upper building. In haste, I took Billy to the hospital at Fleming. As soon as the doctor was informed that I had brought Billy in, he put him on the table and closed the gash with clamps, which was the accepted procedure at that time. As Billy climbed off the table, he bent his arm and the clamps rolled off onto the floor. The doctor put the patient on the table again and asked me to hold Billy's feet, while 2 nurses held his arms so the doctor could put some stitches in the arm. The doctor had explained that it would be more painful to use a needle to shoot Novocaine into Billy's arm than to just sew it up. In just a matter of seconds, the doctor had put 5 stitches in Billy's arm, and Billy had stopped screaming and was ready to go back to school. As we left the doctor's office, I said to Billy, quote, "You have been a very brave boy. Now we will go across the street and get you some ice cream," unquote. Quote, "Ice cream hell," unquote, said Billy. Quote, "I'd rather have me a good chaw of tobacco," unquote. Here ends the story of Brave Boy. Appalachian Athletes. Many well-known and talented athletes made the scene at McRoberts. The most widely known football player was Johnny Mullins. Johnny was not a large man, but by rigorous training and scientific use of combined physical and mental ability, he was able to compete on even terms with the best college players in the nation. During the early 20s, McRoberts Baseball sent Phil Douglas to the big leagues as a pitcher. Many years later, Paul Toth, who was born in McRoberts, pitched for the Chicago Cubs. Even though these two made it to the major leagues and many more got to the minors, no name is better known in Letcher County when baseball is mentioned than Lee Peterson. Lee had all of the makings of a real pitcher. He had one serious weakness. He did not like to stay away from McRoberts. Once, while pitching for Beattyville in the Bluegrass League, he struck out 27 batters on a team managed by Hall of Famer Earl Combs. The best known baseball players were the Baker brothers, Clarence, Perry, and Bobby. Here ends Appalachian Athletes. Thank you. Kentucky Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the short stories found in the book McRoberts, Kentucky by Bill Fugate, Volume 2. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Be sure to double check that you are subscribed, as some of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.